It's quickly approaching the end of the academic year, and teachers are trying to figure out what in the Sam Hill they're going to do next year. They really want, to get the heck out of Dodge with everything that's going on, and I can't say that I blame them. I've talked to you before about the fact that my mother was a 36-year veteran educator when she retired, and how happy I am that she has retired. But I've really been thinking about several things, one of which is what is going to happen when teachers really decide enough is enough in mass and they're out of here. One great thing about having experienced employees in any industry, in any sector of our in any industry, is the fact that they have a wealth of experience, good, bad, or indifferent. Yes, you have some people who are, tapped out. You have some people who are lazy, or some people who don't give a flying fig. But by and large, you have people that have a vested interest in that organization, in that unit, in that department, in that division, to ensure that things continue to go well. And if that weren't the case, they wouldn't still be there. So you'll find that when you go to an organization, there's always someone who is a knowledge leader, not because they have the title leader, not because they're a manager, not because they're being paid to do that, but because they have been there for so long that they basically know almost everything that there is to know about the job that you're going to do. They know more than the managers who come in to manage them, because they've been there so long and they've been doing their job for so long, and they've, weathered a lot of changes in the organization or department or division or whatever, that, they can give you the history of the department. And that is a very important thing. Oftentimes we mistake energy and enthusiasm for experience, right? Someone can come in and they're young and they're energetic and they're enthusiastic and they have a wealth of ideas, but they have no practical knowledge about how to implement those ideas where they are. Whereas you may have someone else who is, has weathered the storms of the company or the division or what have you. And, they have been able to find a level of comfort in status quo. And because of that, we want to poo-poo them. Because of that, we want to look down on them. Because of that, we think they are no longer worthy or valuable. I have news for you. Those, in many cases, are your most valuable employee. You want to know where you're going? You need to know where you came from. You want to know what might work? You need to know what has already been tried. You need to know the background. You need to know the history. You need to know things that you oftentimes coming in new don't already know. And having multiple degrees myself, having multiple certifications myself, having done, certain jobs, for example, having done learning and development for many years, I don't look down on people who come in who want to try, something new, who want to try gamification, or they want to do, agile development when we've typically been doing waterfall or linear development or things of that nature. The whole idea is that iron sharpens iron. So as you come together with people who are, the goal, as long as you're like-minded as it relates to the goal, you want to continue to progress and move forward, that you can take these different perspectives and collaborate to find the one that's going to be the winner for your organization, for where you want to go and how you want to get there now. And to be flexible and adaptable, to know that your way or their way, or even sometimes your collaborative way, may not be it. It still may need massaging, and it still may need experimentation and all those things in order to move forward. And I just want to say that I just got back a couple hours from visiting my daughter at college for the weekend. And so I am tired, but I met my daughter's roommate's mother. And that was the impetus for today's conversation and theme and subject, whatever. I'm tired, so just follow me as I flow. She is an educator, and she asked me, what I do. And I told her I was a learning development consultant. I've been one for 25 years, i.e. corporate training, done leadership, to systems, to technical writing. I've done basically about all aspects of training in a corporate model that I've been introduced to over the last 25 years. Her face lit up and she was like, I need to get out, and that's what I want to do. I need to talk to you. And I said, I have so many transitioning teachers who follow me on my YouTube channel. You know, more than welcome to take a look at some videos. But let me just say this to you. That's what I said to her. There is something about a teacher, right? If you follow me for any length of time, you know the mother was a 36-year veteran educator. I've talked about her before. I think I talked about her at the beginning of this video. And there is something to be said about people who have a call on their lives to do that. I have been a substitute teacher. I have been an adjunct professor of communication, and I have been a learning and development consultant. I have had an opportunity to stick my toe in every one of those ponds. And I will tell you this, there is something divine. Yeah, I'm going to go that far. There is something divine about being an educator, specifically about being a K through 12 teacher, because those are our formative years. There is something about the impact that a teacher has at a child's most vulnerable state that can change the trajectory of the outlook for their future. Yes, that can change the trajectory of the outlook for their future. As a learning and development consultant, do I, touch lives? Yes. Have I inspired people? Yes. Have I, even as a manager, have I, guided individuals? Yes. But that is not the same as being able to instill in a child the possibilities of a future that they can't even conceive at that moment. And the danger that we have right now with teachers running out of the classroom through no fault of their own, because we as a society have these preconceived notions that have come about in the last, couple of decades, that teachers are lazy. They just want summers off. They want to have, they just want to have, half days and all that. Are you crazy? Do you see what teachers are going through? I thought after the pandemic, when people were at home literally crying in their coffee, talking about how I don't know how teachers do what they do, that they were going to do better, that they were going to respect our educators, that they were going to, play their part and support them in this thing in educating their kids. And they didn't just see them as a babysitter, like some place to drop their kids off for 8 hours a day so they could go to work. But they understood the value of an education and the value of an educator who gave a flying fig about their kids and who were passionate about what they do. So much so that when we went through the pandemic, not only did our workplaces have to figure out how we were going to move forward, but educators with little to no training on things like Teams and Zoom and how to do Rise and Articulate and Captivate and we're not even talking about the fact that the students had no freaking idea. Adapted in a moment's notice to ensure that our kids were still getting what they needed. Teachers, some of whom gave their lives because they didn't want to leave the classroom. They didn't want to leave our babies just hanging out there. There's students who relied on our school districts for lunches and breakfast and meals and, a safe space to go. I don't know. I mean, safety is a whole nother conversation, right? I don't know. Clearly, with all the mass shootings, our schools aren't safe. Our banks aren't safe. Our movie theaters aren't safe. Our grocery stores aren't safe. I mean, there's nowhere really safe anymore. But that was the one place as parents, we could send our kids and know that everything was going to be cool. I mean, beyond the stuff that goes on with bullying, which again is another conversation, but beyond the things that unfortunately have been normalized, that our kids were going to get a good education, they were going to get the socialization that they needed, and that someone who gave a fig about who they are and who they could become would be there to lead them and guide them through these formative years. And now, these people are running out the door. I told my daughter's roommate's mother, please, I understand. I can't even say to you that I wasn't thrilled that my mother had already retired everything that's going on in the classroom. But what will our babies do? I said, what will our future grandkids do when the classroom, when we're left with people who don't have, back in the day, we were being an educator required having a licensure, now certification. But what would happen when things get so desperate that anybody is in that classroom? People who don't have the education, people who don't have the tolerance, and people who don't have the passion or the call to be there. What's going to happen to our future grandkids when, people treat teaching as a job, right? Just something to do from 8:30 to 3:30 or 8 to 4, when they don't care anything about our babies. What's going to happen then? And she said, oh, okay, Jennifer, okay. You've talked me into it. I'm going to stay. But here's the thing. It's not that we need to talk teachers into staying. We need to do better. We need to support our teachers. We need to support our school districts. We need to support our administrators. We need to step in. And I get these whole parenting laws and all that. I'm not even going to hit you with the politics, knowing that I'm a former elected official for 15 and a half years who clearly and competently follows bills and news and legislation and all that jazz. I'm not going to hit you with any of that right now. I don't have the capacity right now. I'm going to stay with the fact that there are things that we can do in our own power, in our own voice, that doesn't cause you to try to be somebody you're not or something you're not, but just by being engaged, just by being aware, just by being supportive, you can go to your all politics is local. We get so caught up on what's going on the national level with our U.S. House of Representatives and senators and the president. Guess what? The decisions that are impacting us every single day, day in and day out, those things are happening on a local level. And because we are so tunnel vision and all we see is the federal level, we miss everything that's going on at the local level. At the local level, teachers are fleeing. At the local level, that nice house that you've paid a pretty penny and will be paying for the next 30 years on, or more if you have a second mortgage or you did a home equity line of credit, those teachers are leaving. And then in some states, you got governors making it so that the money that would have supported public school is now going to a charter school because now you have choice. And I'm not knocking choice. I am not knocking choice. I am knocking taking away from one area to give to another area, which disproportionately affects our babies. So if you look like me, if you're black or brown, or you're in a low income or urban area, your kids aren't going to have anything. And if you're in an affluent area that you can afford to send your kids somewhere else, then why would you need a charter system? Why would you need support financially? And instead of splitting up these districts into small charter schools, why not get behind your public school district and ensure that the teachers and that the administrators and that the paraprofessionals have everything they need to adequately support your child? I don't understand. I don't understand when we became mute. I don't understand when it became, I don't feel like voting, or it ain't gonna matter if I don't do anything. You know what? They bank on that. I can tell you that when presidential candidates come in an area, this just happened in the last presidential campaign. So when candidates come into areas, do you know what they look at? They look at how that area voted. If you are coming from or live in a community that does not vote, ain't nobody visiting you. For what? You don't vote. Why would they spend campaign dollars to send a candidate there to, talk to you, to tell you their platform so you can get to know them so they can potentially get your vote when you don't vote? Where they do that at? I am extremely passionate about a lot of things. Many of them I host on my channel. Sometimes you get me, where I'm a little bit more subdued, but most of the time, if you're new to my channel, this is what it is. I'm passionate about this. This matters. Our children matter. Our future matters. So while you have these parenting bills that come up just so you can remove books from schools, but you got kids who don't have meals, you got kids who don't have school supplies, and you got teachers who can't teach because they want them to be, they're wearing 100 other caps, like social worker, like arms marksman, like they're spending more money in the infrastructure of your school than they are in making sure that the school itself is safe by doing something about guns. There's a lot of things. I mean, I'm going left. Let me get back to the point. The point is that we are going to be in a position where our schools are failing, or will continue to fail, or will have failed, just because we didn't do anything. Just because we decided that we did not care who the next superintendent was, that we didn't care how the board was voting. I went to a board meeting. Now, granted, I went to the board meeting. I went as a parent, as an elected official. And can I tell you, I was so disheartened to listen. This was a couple years ago, so my daughter was still in school. That the biggest complaint was the fact that all the food at the concession stand during the athletic games was now uber healthy. Like you couldn't get a hot dog, you could get a slice of pizza. There were all these, like frou-frou foods that nobody wanted. When everything else is going on, you mean to tell me that a good 20 minutes of your board meeting discussion was spent on the food? Come on, y'all. We got to do better. We have to do better, because every day, even today, even as I got back and I started to unpack and I scrolled through some of my notifications on my Instagram channel, I saw a comment that said, I envision myself walking out of my classroom any day now. Any day I'm getting ready to quit. I can see it. I don't understand how come there are not alarm bells going off. I don't understand how come as a society we are not thinking. I mean, a number of things. My mind immediately goes to gun violence, and that's a whole nother year-long series. We've been talking, every day there's a mass shooting because we have people who refuse to act on our behalf, but we act on the people whose dollars, whose lobbyists come and lobby us, whose money supports us. That's who the representatives are. That's whose plight they're supporting. We're running out of time. I don't know how many different ways to say it. I don't know how many videos I have to put out about it. We are running out of time. It's not about teachers finding a transition. And for all the teachers that are following and listening, I get it. I understand. I am literally praying for you. That's just not a figure of speech. I am literally praying for you. I'm literally concerned about your future in the classroom. But I cannot encourage you to run out. Anything I have, for those of you who have contacted, I'm willing to, whatever advice or whatever experience I have or whatever knowledge I have, I am more than willing to impart to you. But I just want to say something to you now, the same thing that I said to my daughter's roommate's mother. I know that you didn't go, I was an education major, okay? I was an education major once upon a time. So I know that when you did your observation of your student teaching, you already knew what it was, right? You already saw some of this stuff. But your passion and your purpose superseded what you saw. I don't know. I don't know. I know the teachers have a union, the National Teachers Association, and I know that you can band together in a building. I know that we all can make a difference if we come together. I know that. I know that there is power. There's power in unity. There is power in saying, I'm not going to take anymore. And there's a certain level. That's why teachers strike. There's a certain, power that comes along with standing as one. And maybe that's what I'm asking you. Maybe that's what I'm advocating for you to do now, is to say, it's not just to walk away, and if you're going to walk away from the job, don't walk away from the cause. Does that make sense? Like if you're going to walk away and say, okay, I need another job where I can function, because I know mental health is important. I know that your mental health has been on the line. I know that income and being able to care for your own family is paramount, right? I get all of that, and I understand and support that. But if you're going to walk away from the profession, can I ask you to still stay close to the cause? Because we got other young students coming in, like my daughter's roommate, who is a special education major. And to think, if her mother's ready to jump ship, she's not encouraging her to be in education, nor did my mother encourage me as an education major. She did not want me to go into education. And that was previous to all this. This is when parents were still considered to be a partner in the education of their children. I think it's time for us as a nation, in more than one cause, but because I'm talking about this today and right now, I believe it's time for us as a nation to say enough is enough. It's time for us to pack out school board meetings. It's time for us to elect school board members that represent what we want to have happen. As a representative, I always said this in the 15 and a half years that I was in office, is that I represented what the people said. Now, I'm going to tell you that, did I get lobbied by people who had interests that were outside of my community? Yes. For things that they found valuable. My community is small and has lots of land and has been thought of as poor throughout, for a long time. And when you think that someone is lower on your social economic status, right, or low income, people also assume that means that you are, you have no education or little education, and therefore they can get over on you. Nope. So I've had people come to me to do things in my community that would not have benefited my community with, offers of making things great for me. And I'll let you figure out what great meant. Nothing was more important for me than to represent my community and to be authentic with my residents and genuine and quite protective of them, actually. And that clearly did not make me any friends. Not that I cared, because ultimately I had to be able to look myself in the mirror, and I had to ensure that my morals, values, and ethics were intact. I was not willing to compromise those for anyone or anything. I wasn't going to jail for anybody. And ultimately, I'm a woman of faith. I'm a Christian that truly, believes that, or who wants to be pleasing to God and understands that nobody walked the earth without sin or blemish but Jesus. And I'm okay with that. I am, someone made a comment not too long on my video, and I can accept the fact that I am wrapped in flesh and imperfect and am saved by grace. I can accept all of that. I have no problems with that. However, I do believe that if someone elected me to represent them, that I should represent them. Now, everybody's going to think, well, there are people who don't represent me. I mean, the collective, like the majority, just like, the majority rules, that type of situation. So I represented the majority sentiment in the community. I have to, be clear, because you never know who's watching or who has what to say. But I just want to encourage whoever is watching this, the teachers, to, if you can, stay the course, because our babies need you. They're coming out of a pandemic, and many of them lack social skills. Other skills have kind of tanked out, reading and math and comprehension and all those things that we look to you to reinforce every day, that parents, quite frankly, didn't have the wherewithal. They may have had the unction and the passion, but just not the ability or capability or training to be able to provide for their kids and continue to work and figure out their work life in the middle of a pandemic. But we need you. Our society needs you. Our community needs you. Our kids need you. I know this because every time I go somewhere with my mother and we run into somebody, people gush over her and how much she mattered to them, to the extent that they, said some of the same things to their own kids once they had kids, or how proud she would be of them if she knew that they had done blah, blah, blah because of something that she said in her class, or one day when she pulled them to the side and she said something to them, and how when she believed in them, they could believe in themselves. And the list can go on and on and on and on and on. There are still students to this day who call my mother. My mother's been out of the classroom for some time. But we need you, teachers. And to the parents and grandparents, community leaders, activists, I know I ain't got to tell you nothing because you're already out there. You always are out there fighting for the cause and taking up the cause and not phoning it in. So I definitely appreciate you, and I'm humbled by, your service. But for the rest of us, we got to get it together. We've got to pull together, and we have to start setting boundaries. We have to start making our voices heard. We have to say enough is enough. We have to take things back. Things are going so far left that once these teachers are gone, they're gone. They're not coming back. Once they get a taste of something better, they're gone, right? I was working on a project, and there was a transition teacher on the project, and every time I see her online, she's talking about how life is so great, how it's wonderful. She doesn't have to pay for her supplies. She can work from anywhere. Now, those of us who've been in corporate America a little while know that came primarily as a result of COVID, right? There was no remote working before then. And, if you ever had a micromanager, then you know what I'm talking about. But that's something that has come as a result of the pandemic in recent years. It's taken a long time. When I first started working in corporate America, women I was in banking, could not wear pants in the certain region I was in. And you had to wear corporate colors. Black, gray, and navy. Brown was faux pas. Everybody can remember when former President Barack Obama wore a tan suit, and oh my God, it was like the world was coming to an end, right? Okay, so the point is, we have to do better. Especially with our babies, we have to do better. We have to keep our babies safe, and we have to keep them educated. And we have to have teachers who care about our kids beyond it being a job. For those of us who work a job, we know what it feels like to clock in and clock out and be like, if I didn't get it today, we'll worry about it tomorrow. That's not what teachers do. Teachers take home work, they're grading tests, they're trying to figure out why kids aren't getting it. And, they already were under the pressure of teaching to a test and throwing out all the other things that would have been able to, as a trainer, I can tell you, there's all kind of experiential learning. There's all types of ways that you can help people to learn and remember, and to make points, and, to support the thesis and all of that. And we still test adult learners, but there's a certain way that you can do that we're forced to do it in my industry, because an adult will tune you, they can walk away. They can, opt into your training or opt out. And especially training is not tied to performance. That means if their performance isn't tied to it, that i.e. they learn how to use this system, or their sales go up as a result of having gone to your training, and therefore they're out, or they tie it to performance after their performance decreases for so long, and they're progressive disciplinary. All my HR people will know this. Then they can be, you're just not a good fit for the job. We need somebody with kids. Our kids can't tap out. We don't want them to tap out. That's called dropping out, by the way. We don't want our kids to tap out. We want our kids to be the best they can be. We want someone who sees the potential in our kids, hell, even when we don't see it, right? There's been many times that a parent has said something in anger or frustration that they did not mean, that rests and resides somewhere deep inside their kids' soul and spirit. We need a teacher there. We need a teacher who can look at them and say, you got this. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do third. Now, every teacher ain't the same. Let me say that too before I go ahead and end this. Every teacher is not the. Some of those teachers, y'all talking about leaving by, you should have left last week or last year or 5 years ago, 10 for real. But by and large, we need the teachers that care, who have just really been struggling these last few years to just stay the course. We need them to stay. We need them to stick and stay, and watch this. We need them to pass down their experience. Remember at the beginning of the video, I talked about we have that employee that's been there for a long time, who's weathered the storms, who knows the ins and the outs. We need them to pass the torch of knowledge and wisdom down to our new teachers who haven't experienced or seen all that our older retiring teachers have. And we need our older teachers to undergird our new teachers so that they too will be able to weather the storm. So we got a lot of work to do, y'all. Let's get on it. If you like this video, thumbs up. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We'll talk about a lot of things: leadership, politics, education, training and development. You know, you name it, we try to talk about it. And if there's something that I haven't talked about thus far, go ahead and leave in the comments, and then we'll do a video on that next, or whatever your thoughts are. You know, we're trying to sustain a community where if I don't have the answer, maybe one of you do. Maybe one of you can chime in and help somebody out, or leave a thought or opinion that really will help somebody who's watching this and like, I'm out, and they read your comment. They're like, well, I hadn't tried that. Maybe I can, you know, I can do that. I'll try that. I'll stay a little bit longer. All right. So I'll catch you in my next video. Thanks for watching.